Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope that you're having a fantastic Easter weekend. Wow, it is my turn. I am taking part in the GiveaScrap Hop. This is being hosted by a different Angela, Angela from the Traveling Crafter. She is the Traveling Crafter on YouTube, and we have the most wonderful people taking part, sharing with you everything that they know about using scraps. So this is called the GiveaScrap Hop. So we do invite everyone to take part. You can use the hashtag GiveaScrap and put that on your YouTube channel or on your other social media and keep it going all month long. It's for the month of October, listen to me, April. So yes, come and join the fun. I have been posting the various creators in my Facebook group. So this is the month of everybody. And today I am sharing my spot with Joanie from Not So Fast. And it's for Easter Monday. So here we go. Right, so here is what I'm going to be doing with you today. Let's put that to the side. Right, so as a person who has piles of scraps, and I know we all do, but I like using them, and I find the best or the most creative way possible that I can come up with to use these in my journal project. So especially when I come to the end of a journal project, which is what I'm currently busy with now. So at the moment I have been, look at that, I am at the end of my Traveler's Notebook, my Marvelous Mice Traveler's Notebook journal, and at this point I'm sitting with a huge basket full of scraps from this project, and this is where you can get creative with all of that. So I'm going to show you what I do with that and how I use those bits then to enhance my journal pages. So that's what I'm going to do today. At the end, I've got a very quick little project to use the bits that we're going to create quickly here. So I hope you're going to enjoy following along. Right, so the very first thing is paper strips. So when you're going through your bundle, you have a lot of shapes and sizes and things. But paper strips this thick or even that thick, they all have some use still. So I don't just throw them away. I collect everything that I cut off in here, as you can see, and then I have fun with it at the end. All right, so that's what we do. So the first thing is paper strips. So a large amount of them are pretty much like 1/2 inch wide or just over, that you've cut off pieces. And I like to do a couple of things with those. So first of all, let me grab these here. I like to make them into small bits. So these are other paper strips and colors I have. And I like to make them into little tags. Taggy bits that you can use for clusters and that sort of thing. So really all you do is cut the corners off. You don't have to. And then I like to use my little punches, my little hand punches, and put shapes in some of them. Other ones, so that's a little heart punch. So it's just a little hand heart punch that I've punched a little hole just at the bottom, you know, like that. You can keep that little bit to embellish something, cut it the width you want and just cut off the little corners. So I'll show you how I use some of these things in a minute. So that's paper strips, useful. Paper strips are also great for other things as well. So I've just put on some little bits here of flowers. And you know, that would look really cute sticking out the side of a cluster or something like that. All right, so this is another thing I like to do with paper strips, not clips, is stick words on that I've used typed up on my typewriter. This is a digital I have in my shop, but you know, you can do this on the computer. Just little housing little bits to stick on there. You can stamp words on there as well. So, you know, there's lots of things like that. I love to use different punches. So I've just grabbed a few here. So you can see they've discolored. These are old. I've had this one for a very long time. So little hearts, little banners. I've got a little banner punch, and you can cut out all these little banner bits, which are great. I use this for when I've sewn in my signatures and you've got the strings. I put the strings in there with glue and put two together and cover them like that. But I also use them to make other little things like this. All right, so those are great for those narrow strips as well. I've got a small butterfly one as well, but I didn't use that today. But any shapes that you have, any punches that you have, are great to use for scrappy bits. Make them and put them in big things like this with lids and store them. This is another thing I use for strips of paper. This is an actual die cut. Well, there's a couple of different ones in here that I had. This one was for a Sizzix spring die cut. It had these little flowers in, and I cut all these small bits up and I just put them in here. You know, you could sit one evening with a hand punch, or one weekend when you're feeling like you want to catch up, and just cut out all the different colors and put them in there and use them as I'm going to show you. And I use these a lot. All right, so that's it. And another thing, if you've got a die cut machine and you've got printed pages, you know, the strips again, go and cut out die cuts. So here's one I used with a crochet die. This is a digital that I've printed on here that I had left over. There's some other ones here as well. I've just grabbed a few just to show you what you can do. So a lot of these are really narrow, especially these hydrangea ones. I've got a lavender one as well. I've got a lot of narrow bits, and you can sort that out as well. So those strips are amazing. With the ones that are slightly wider, so you're looking at, what are these? This is 1.5 inches, but even up to 1 inch wide. What I like to do with these is make paper edge strips. I call them paper edge decorators. All right, so this is what they look like. And really all I'm doing is tearing these narrow bits together. I tend to do it in a 4 or 3 pattern. Here's 4, and I just layer them together and stick them together. I do stitch on some of them, not always, but these ones I've just stitched up. This is just scrap paper strips, and I've torn them by hand. That's all it is really. And then I just take one of these, put it on the edge of a plain page, and add maybe a die cut or some of these little bits that I'm going to share with you now, and decorate them. So that's what I do with those. So another great idea to use your scraps for. Right, so that's the strippy bits. We were talking about punches again, and I encourage you to use whatever shapes you have. I think if you're a new crafter, I don't have loads of punches, but I do think that having a set of circles is probably one of the most useful that you can put together. Now, I didn't buy them together. I did buy them separately, but things like this size, so 5/8 of an inch, is really handy. I've got different ones of these from 1 inch. So I've got a 1 inch punch. There we go. I've got a 1.25 inches, 1.5, 1 3/4, and 2. So I do have them all in the drawer there. And I do find that these are really handy. These ones here, which cut out these sizes, I like to put one of those at the top of one of my tags. So for example, let me grab one here. Take one of these circles and put it at the top there, and then glue it, and then punch it out with your eyelet punch, and it gives like a decorative hole reinforcer. So I do like to use those a lot for that size. The 1 inch punch, which is the next size, I use a lot of these for this sort of thing. So for example, decorating them with the banners and just using some of my fussy cuts like that. So these are great for little bits and pieces that you want to add to your journal projects. All right, so that's what you can do with the circles. The bigger circles, like these, for example, I've just grabbed a few here. You can either cut out bits that are left over on the paper and use that, like that. There's another one, or those. Or just the plain backgrounds, which I would use as a base to add all the bits and pieces to make like a collage. So I might add in a little word, I might add in a little flower, I might add in a die cut or any of my fussy cuts and make a little collection on here. And I think when you've got time and you're sitting in front of the TV, cutting out and preparing all these things is great. This is one of those kind of things that you can just have on hand. Now, I do like to keep all my bits when I'm working on a specific journal in front of me. So I would prepare all of these things, and then when I'm going through my journal and decorating it, it's all ready and all on hand. So that's definitely what I like to do. Okay, so we've talked about the strips and the die cuts and the shapes, yeah. Even the little hearts that I cut out over for here. So here's one of them here, if I can pick it up. Those also make cute little decorations when you're adding, you know, to something. I'm not saying I would put it on here, but on this particular one, but you could always add something like that to one of your little bits that you've made, so just at the bottom there or something, you know. So hang on to the punches. Some of these I got, these three I actually got secondhand off eBay, I think. Okay, right, some other things you can do with slightly wider pieces of paper, I thought I'd just share with you quickly, is tabs. So this is a tab. If you don't have a tab punch, you can make your own tabs. And all I've done here is taken a piece of paper. This is like pretty much a square, pretty much. It's 2 inches, yeah, just two inches by 2 inches. You just really want to fold that in half, like that. Glue it down, yeah. So that's easily done. You want to just glue that down like that. Okay, and then the next thing you want to do is grab a punch. Now for this one, I might want to have it on my page in that position, so I want to get the heart like this, or I might want to have it at the top of my page, whereas I would get the heart more this way. It's going to shoot all over the place. All right, I'll keep that. So this one is for a page like that, and then this one could go at the top. And all I do then is take one of, this is my corner rounder goodie, and then you just cut that off like that. And because you folded it in half, you've got it covered on both sides, and you've got it all ready to go there. You've rounded off the corners, and you can use that just like that. All right, so you can make page tabs as well. And then again, you can put little flowers or other little bits and pieces on there as well. Okay, so that's those. Right, I do want to show you some little bits that I have made here, and then we're going to do a little project. So using the paper strips, I've made these altered paper clips using the round circles, the paper strips. I've cut out those little flowers, stuck them together with some pearls. So that's all using scraps. It's just scrappy bits of this eyelash trim, or even, you know, that's easily usable. I've got different ones here that I put together for one of my bundles. And I've just stuck that on there. So really that's really great to use for any journal in any theme. All right, and then these little goodies here, this is a fussy cut, which from one of my kits. There's where I've used one of those little words There's one of those little flowers and one of the circles, and this is just a scrap of ribbon that wasn't big enough to use on one of my tags. So I've made a little collage of it there. And here's a different one, again with a word, a circle, a fussy cut butterfly. And you don't have to use butterflies, you can use whatever you want. And just again, a piece of ribbon that's too small to make a bow. So those are the sort of things that you can do very easily just with your scraps. So yeah, I'm going to show you now how to make a little project using some of the scraps that we have I've talked about today. So what I want you to do is grab a piece of paper. This is just some background paper that was one of my kits, but you can even use book pages. All right, it doesn't matter. This particular one, I'll give you my measurements, but any measurements go. It just depends on the size of your journal page and what you have. So this is just a little scrap, a bigger scrap as a background piece. This one is 5.5 inches that way, width-wise, and it is just over 4 inches high. And what I've done is, using my bone folder, I have just scored a line 1 inch on each side in, okay, 1 inch on each side. And then what I'm going to do is, you can see the lines cross over from where I've scored 1 inch on each side. I'm just going to cut to the corner there. This is just to take the bulk out of it. Right, so you want to just do that like that. Okay, and then I think just at the top ever so slightly, I'm going to just angle this slightly. Okay, all right, so you've got something like that now. And again, you could cut out a load of these backgrounds, even book pages, as I said, which would work wonderfully. And then just fold on those score lines. Now, it doesn't matter that it's not printed at the top. I encourage you to show the side you want to there, and the white unprinted bits, that's absolutely perfect, because I'll show you what we're going to do now. What I'm using now are a couple of my strips again. I've just grabbed a few that I've torn here. I am going to go with, let's see, these 3. Okay, so I'm going to take this bit here and I'm going to stick it at the bottom, and I don't need it to go all the way across, so I think I'm just going to cut a piece off like that. And what we are going to do is stick that down. Now, I have grabbed a little bit of vellum that was an offcut. Yeah, it just needs to be big enough to cover that area there, like that. So really not a big area. You can use tracing paper. You can even use lace. All right, you don't need a big piece. And what I'm going to do now is going to put some glue on here, on those 2 sides first of all. Now you want to get it leveled up with the back of your paper there. Okay, so stick that down. And then you can go and put glue on the bottom flap. Now this again is something you can do in front of the TV and make loads of them up to this point and decorate them then with the colors that you want to, or you can just sit and do the lot. Right, so I've got this little bit now, got loads of punches on the side here, and this tiny little bit that's probably not even 2 inches in length, and I'm going to stick that down. Yeah, scraps are a great way, and I like them because they challenge me. I like thinking about what can I make with that, and I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. I like the challenge. Right, we're going to take this bit here like that, and I'm just going to make a little nip there with my pair of scissors and chop that off. There we go. It's an edge piece, so that's absolutely perfect. And we're going to stick this down. So really easy to do. Anybody can do this. Right, so there we go. A little bit more there. We want to get that to the edge over there. Okay, it's a little bit high there. No, that's perfect. And then take your ink and then go around the edges. I should have done this. It doesn't matter, but normally I would have done this first. There we go. And then, of course, the back. Okay, so there we go. And now we're going to take this bit and I'm going to use this side here, and again just move it a little bit away, you know, and that bit you can make a little circle out again, so it all works. And you want to get this on. So there we've got a little pocket just like that with a little bit of a vellum window. And now we are going to grab some of those little die cuts from here. Now I've got one. As I said, you can cut these from your leftover pages, you know. I want a bit of a green bit. Not the, I would have preferred a paler green, but that will work. All right, so I've got a couple of those, and I'm going to stick those, move that a little bit down and that like that quickly. So let me stick those down and I will join you straight away. Okay, so I've just stuck those down there. It goes over slightly, but that's fine because it's going to stick onto my page. And then using some of the things that we had, I'm going to need my fabric tack here quickly. I'm going to use this little cluster over here, which has got the circle and the wording and the scrap of ribbon, those little flowers, all. It's just this fussy cut bit here that's not part of the scraps, and I want to just get that well glued here. And I'm going to stick it just over here. So, you know, you can use all your scraps to make your own pretty embellishments. Now, just ever so quickly, I'm going to just get one of my big clamp goodies. Two of my clamp goodies. Just to get that on there nicely. Okay. And then I made another one earlier. And I'm going to use this circle that I stuck the butterfly on with the two banners on. So we'll stick that just over there. Before I press it, I'm going to take the little word thankful that I just backed onto my thin scrappy bit. I want to just tuck it under here like that. And again, just use a little one or two of these little clips just to keep it in place. Right, so I think it was that everything I wanted to tell you about scraps. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, so pretty. And you've made your own little embellishments. I could do with leaving that a little bit longer. I will say that. And then this one over here. I love those. Okay, so that's what we can do with scraps. Unbelievable. So don't go and throw everything away. Go and spend a day and cut out all these goodies from that really big pile that I know is collecting on the side of your desk. It's probably going to be a mountain by now, because that's what happens if we don't tackle it. Right, guys, just thought I'd mention, I'm going, for the ladies that are following me with the Marvelous Mice Traveler's Notebook, we will be using these in there as well. And for all of you watching today, just in case you've missed it, I do have a huge sale on in my website shop, so go and have a look. I'll put the slide up after this so that you can grab a bargain on my bundles and digital kits. All right, everyone, take good care of yourselves. Thank you for following along and watching this. If you have done, I really appreciate it. And please go and follow the other people taking part in the Give a Scrap Hop. I've seen some wonderful projects come up, and I know that you'll enjoy them too. So goodbye, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.